You know, not too long ago, there was no such thing as recorded sound. As he invented the phonograph, causing mass hysteria and riots as he exhibited it. And then imagine inventing the modern light bulb, the fuse, the motion picture camera, and hundreds more inventions that changed our modern world forever. Actually, don't imagine it. Just read Brilliance by Anthony McCarten, because he has already done just that.
He opened his eyes on the platform. Was he alive? Yes. He was still functioning. The heart still beating, the mind sending out its mad signals. With a handkerchief, he mopped his brow and sensed again, as he had his entire life, the unborn ideas still inside him. Ideas superior to anything he'd ever grasped. What might he have achieved had he been a more sensitive receptor for divine secrets?
Brilliance by Anthony McCarten is the story of the mind of Thomas Edison as it blinks and sparks like one of his many wild inventions. His body sits old and feeble on a train platform in 1929, while his mind makes a harrowing, guilt-ridden journey to the previous century, through his great scientific successes and his calamitous personal failures. It's as if he just finished a steeplechase, and now, breathless, he looks back at what he ran over.
What might he have achieved had he been a more sensitive receptor for divine secrets? At the same time, he recognized that he would never now take hold of these tantalizing works, forever just beyond his reach. He sighed at the realization that we finally produce only a fraction of what we are capable of, and will be remembered at best for our brightest failures.
Anthony McCarten is a Kiwi writer and director with numerous plays, movies, and novels to his name. Visit the page about him on Hawthorne Books for a great summary. One of my favorite factoids about his life is that Mr. McCarten has suffered as delicious an intellectual property saga as any of his inventor characters. In 1987, he and a friend premiered a play in Wellington called Ladies' Night, about a bunch of unemployed blue-collar lads who decide to make some extra money by stripping off. It still holds the record for the single most financially successful stage play in New Zealand history. Does it sound familiar? That's right. The idea was nakedly ripped off by the producers of the 1997 film The Full Monty. But when Mr. McCarten and his collaborator filed suit against 20th Century Fox, guess who won?
Still, this was perhaps the common fate. And with no time left for his soul to find a better conductor than the brain he'd been given, he had no choice but to stand by his trifles, to accept with dignity the public salutes, and for the sake of his name pretend, to the end, to have been one of the chosen.
Considering this book is about one of the greatest inventors in history, I think it is entirely appropriate to talk about how much I liked its material engineering. Hawthorne Books has created a wonderful physical product. The richly designed cover is sumptuously thickened with flaps and can be used to bookmark. The pages are sturdy and cut even, so leafing through is easy, and the text itself looks clean and intelligent on the pale gray page. It was a pleasure to handle and read this well-made book.
And for the sake of his name pretend, to the end, to have been one of the chosen, one of the few to have ever spied through a crack in the eternal door, and glanced for a moment the mysteries of the sacred illumination.
As for the content, it was nearly as perfect. I thoroughly enjoyed the contrasting relationships in this story. Edison and his first wife, Edison and his second, and most especially Edison and the infamous 19th century tycoon J.P. Morgan. The plot too is well crafted, and one particular chapter about how Edison as a young man won his first job was excellent. So I love the story, the music if you will, but it seems Mr. McCarten felt the need to turn up the volume on certain elements to make sure we understood. That Edison lost his soul to commerce, that capitalism is destructive. These themes are clear and resonate well with our modern experience. Mr. McCarten didn't need to telegraph them to us.
He felt a vibration in the broad pine planks of the platform floor. Lowering his head, he clamped his teeth on the stock of his cane. Yes, a train. Definitely a train. Coming back for him. His time was up.